We have an author on the line that I've been waiting to talk to. Alisia, is that her last name? Alisia Grenville.
Hi, that's right.
Hi, Alisia. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
All right.
Speak with you too, Andrea.
Yes, ma'am. So hold on. Let me tell everybody about you, and then we can talk, right? Alicia Dale, referred to by friends as L Squared, is both a lawyer and language enthusiast. As a qualified attorney both in the state of New York and in England and Wales, Alicia Dale has worked in the corporate setting in Canada, America, and abroad. But her most important role is being a mother of her 3 children, twin boys, Damien and Lucas, and her daughter Marin. With degrees from Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, the University of Sussex in Brighton, England, and El Università di Siena per Stranieri in Siena, Italy. I can't believe I said all of that. Alicia Dale is a skilled communicator. Yeah, listen. Alicia Dale is a skilled communicator who has lived in 8 countries and who speaks English, French, Italian, and German. My kind of person. Alicia grew up in Chateauguay, Quebec, a town outside of Montreal where she was born. Chateauguay is the inspiration and the setting of the Sela Blue series and brand. Although she considers Canada her first home, she currently resides in Europe with her husband and children. You're in Europe right now?
I am calling you from Switzerland right now.
You better. Okay. Alicia was inspired to write the series because of her own children who wanted to see books that not only reflect their skin tone, but also their authentic and multicultural lives. Sela Blue has now teamed up with Hearts of Gold to ensure that New York City black and brown children living in shelters have backpacks for the start of school this fall. Each backpack donated and filled with school supplies will have a copy of Sela Blue and the first day of school. Alicia believes it is so important that children of color sees themselves authentically represented in literature, no matter who they are and where they live. It's all about the outreach and touching lives. When I tell you, Alicia, that you are, am I saying your name properly?
You are saying it beautifully, Andrea. Thank you.
Good. Oh, you're quite welcome. When I tell you that we have conversations on this radio station all the time about the literature level in this city and this country, that so many children are graduating from school without being able to read. We have one particular caller, Woody, that calls in here every chance he gets to talk about this. And I'm trying to figure out how we can get some copies of your book in his barbershop in Philadelphia so we can
I'd love to send him some copies.
Please.
Why don't we put it this way? Why don't we just make sure that I send him some copies of Sela Blue?
Oh, I will.
For his customers. And
Yes.
It's all about the children. It's all about giving them the inspiration to want to pick up a book. But, it is hard for them. Let's just be honest.
Yes.
As a child growing up, it was very rare for me to see, characters of color in books that looked like me.
Yes.
And you know what? I won't tell you how old I am, but when I had my boys, they're now 18. The twins are now 18. But this was the inspiration because even then, in 2002, 2003, when I started buying books for them, there was nothing, and especially here in Europe. But the point of the matter is that even if there were something, that something was not authentic to who we are.
Yes.
These stories were not written by black or brown authors, but they claimed to represent a black or brown person's life. How can that be possible? So I found the whole thing to be disingenuous, and I was looking for authenticity, and I said, well, let me start by, writing for myself and throwing it out there. And this is how the story and the ideas came about. The point of the matter is my children started asking me more and more questions as they grew older about my life. And I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I should just pen it for them so that they can understand how it was that I grew up with, with my sisters, my mom and dad, their grandparents, et cetera, and so forth. So that was what, inspired me to do so.
Yes.
And the theme is a little girl and her sisters as we grew up, my sisters and I. But the point of the matter was to show the authenticity of living our lives as normal children, growing up in the suburbs, having a rich and normal experience.
Right.
So it was all of that combined, but really the crux and the root of the matter stems from the fact that there just was not enough positive picture books of color for children to read in North America. And we talk about diversity, we talk about multiculturalism, but we don't see that as much in media, and especially in literature for children.
You're absolutely right. And so you have children that are just a little bit younger than mine, so you're probably just a little bit younger than me. And
well, the twins are 18, and my daughter, Maren, she is 10.
She's 10, yes. And so I completely hear you. And I notice now that we're having, so Sela Blue, what do you hope to gain from, aside from your children, who are you hoping to inspire with Sela Blue? And I saw something about the proceeds being sent somewhere.
Well, okay, so let's separate the two thoughts.
Okay.
Sela Blue is a book for children, is a book about a girl for children, about children. And it's about throwing out there into the arena, the fact that Black and brown children have normal lives. They have their ups and downs. Yes. They have their episodes of life. Why is it that we can't just see and read a story about a positive girl of color living her everyday life in her everyday way with her friends, her family, and going through the experiences that all kids go through. Yes. That's what Sela Blue is about. So basically, it's a series which will be 13 to 14 books in all. Oh. And the episodes, it's an actual series. Yes. And the episodes, touch upon all of those things that children recognize.
Right.
First day of school, their first day in the city.
Yes.
A trip to the zoo, et cetera, and so forth. So those are some of the titles that are, slated to come out in the coming year. Yeah. So there's that. And then I love the project that, I've been so blessed to work with, Hearts of Gold, which is a charity in New York, whereby the founder, she started the charity about 26 years ago, and it focuses on women and children living in shelters. And as you can understand, most of these women and children are people, are Black and brown children. And Deborah's goal, is to raise money. This fundraiser is to raise money for the backpack food drive. And
gotcha.
So, we made a donation of over 600 books. And we look to be able to raise enough funds so these children will be able to have, and especially today, as you know, with everything that's going on with COVID and Corona, they need the supplies more than ever, because these supplies they will not be able to touch in a classroom.
Right.
They're not able to actually be in a classroom. So what Hearts of Gold does is, with the money that is donated, they go out and they fill these backpacks with all of the necessities that a child will need on his or her first day in school or back to school.
Wow.
So we're just so pleased to know that each and every one of those kids will get a copy of Sela Blue in their backpack.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. You have been everywhere. you
Practically, yes.
Practically. How did it come about that you have moved and lived and visited so many places and that you speak so many languages? Talk to me about your parents.
Well, okay, my wonderful parents are both immigrants from what used to be British Guyana in South America. So, they left their country. They left Guyana when in their 20s, in their early 20s, where my sisters and I were born in Canada, in Montreal. And, they always had a thirst for education and wanting us to dream big. Yes. I mean, even though, they were young and inexperienced, per se, let's say, they always had, dreams of grandeur for their girls. And so we were always taught to look ahead and to think big. And when I was growing up in my little town of Châteauguay, it's actually pronounced Châteauguay, we used to have these fields that I would look out onto. Yes. And all of this imagery is actually in the book.
Yes.
And I would always dream that I would live over there. And I didn't know where over there was. but I would imagine what it would be like to live in England or France or the U.S. And you know what? You throw it out there in this world, and once you throw out your dreams and you throw out your wishes, be careful because they will come true.
Absolutely.
And so, so to form, through my studies, I was able to live in Europe. And then when I decided to go to law school, I thought, well, I could just go to law school in Canada and the U.S. Or I can go back to Europe and have another, extraordinary experience, which is what I did. And then I actually qualified in New York. And so that's what makes me a New York State qualified attorney. Worked there, met my German husband, and, then moved back to Europe. And it's a combination of family and professional reasons that we moved around. But basically driven by my career and my desire to travel the world.
And you did it. Well, how do you think
I've done it?
Yes. How do you think that now impacts your children and how they will impact the children that are going to be around them? Because you're right. Everything we think and dream will be manifested, be it positively or negatively, right? So what are your hopes for your children now, 18 and 10, as they move forward?
Well, I just got back from Canada last month because my twin boys have started university in Canada. Oh. You see, as much as I wanted to, to cocoon them here with me in Europe, they've always, they've always seen us moving and wanting to experience new people, new cultures, new languages. And so I couldn't be surprised, nor should I have been, or could I have been upset when my boys told me that they wanted to study abroad. And of course, abroad from Europe, for them, is North America. So they're both now, in their first month of university in Canada. And you know what? They've lived an international life, or lives, should I say. They've been to international schools. It was so funny. I'll never forget a story when my boys came home. I think they were they probably about the equivalent of grade 2. And they burst through the door, and they threw their school bags down, and they started, telling me, Mommy, you won't believe what happened today. And I said, well, if you tell me, then I can believe you. They basically said, listen, we got a new boy in our class, and you know what? He speaks Spanish. And we don't speak Spanish, so we have to learn Spanish tonight.
Oh, so that they can listen to their friend and communicate with their friends.
Exactly. And because they were going to an international school, you have to understand, Andrea, that these kids were already speaking. My boys are trilingual. They speak English, German, and French. So at school they speak French or spoke French. At home we were speaking English and German. And, most kids in their class, were all living in that same sort of familiar, linguistic atmosphere. So these kids now wanting to come home and learn Spanish like tonight. My husband and I, we were just smiling under our breath. And thinking,
how old were they at that point, Alisia? How old were they?
They were 6. 6 or 7.
Okay, there's a reason why I'm asking you that. We spend so much time, especially in North America, in the United States of America, telling little black and brown children that they can't learn a different language, right? When they go into middle and high school and they say, I'd like to take Chinese, or I'd like to take French, or I'd like to take Spanish, they say, no, you've got to take a remedial reading course, or you've got to, the expectations are not there. Right? And
totally.
When we look at our little children at the ages of 5 and 6, they can learn 3 and 4 different languages. We know this because for those of us who are immigrants, I'm from the island of Jamaica, by the way. So my children can speak Patois fluently. They understand it fluently, right? Right. And so it's very possible. So when I am speaking, I'm thinking I'm speaking, and like, Mommy, you said da 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 da. Our children are very capable. We are the ones, adults are the ones that try to limit our children, especially the little black and brown ones. And it's unconscionable, right? Because by the time they turn 19 or 20, they should be able to know at least 2 or 3 different languages.
I would hope so, and that was my goal for my children, and what helps is living in a country whereby, my mother tongue,
yes,
is not the predominant language, right? So I live in the French-speaking part of Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, we were living in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I may choose not to speak those languages in my home, my children always have the opportunity to speak those languages outside of the home.
Yes.
And they really cannot not speak those languages, because these are the languages, that are spoken daily. Anything you want to do, you've got to either speak German or you have to speak French, depending on where we are living.
Yes.
Now, the other thing is, though, is to be conscious of knowing that, of course, we want to give them the opportunity to bloom and to be able to speak to as many people as they can, so that they can start to understand cultural differences, but it's not so much about differences. I always say about cultural similarities, because the more we learn about each other, the more we realize we're all the same.
Yes.
But the first touch point is language, and that is what breaks the barrier. So my children have grown up. My husband speaks 4 languages. I speak 4 languages, and we don't speak the same 4 languages.
Wow. So what does your husband speak?
So we speak German and English, but he also speaks Portuguese.
Wow.
Right? He speaks Portuguese, and he speaks Spanish, and I speak Italian, French, German, and English. So, so it's a great mix. And they have seen us, integrate and move around with friends from all over the world. And this has just been the normal, this has been our normal. This is how we live our lives. So I totally agree with you that we have to open the possibility to Black and brown children to understand that language is the vessel to new understanding.
Yes, agreed. When I was growing up as a little girl, we didn't have television. I grew up in the 60s, so there wasn't television on. So reading became my portal to seeing and understanding and learning everything that was going on around the world. It developed such a love for writing and I was experienced just like you. I would see things through my mind's eye, and I'd say, I'm going to America when I am 10. I am going to do this. And because of reading and having that portal into opening it up, I was able to experience all sorts of things, right? And was able to then send it to my children. So what you're talking about is so crucially important. I am going to take a small break, and then we're going to come back and tell us how we can gain access to that book for purchase. Okay. Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I have author Alisia Grenville on. Grenville. Wow. It's amazing talking to her. This woman has been all over the world, is a lawyer and a language enthusiast. She's a qualified attorney both for the state of New York and in England and Wales. She lives in Switzerland right now. She's calling me from Switzerland. Her family is originally from British Guyana in South America. She speaks several languages. Let me see if I can remember. I'm looking it up now. Lord, French, Italian, English, and German. And her children speak several languages, and she wrote a book series, because of her own children who wanted to see books that not only reflect their skin tone, but also their authentic and multicultural lives. Tell us how we can get Sela Blue.
Well, okay, so because this is really, for me, it's just so important that we help, Hearts of Gold and the children who are living in the shelters, who need these backpacks, Andrea. And so if you go onto the Hearts of Gold website, which is heartsofgold.org, and I'm hoping that maybe we can put it on your, on your page.
I will.
If you go onto that, you'll see that we've got the fundraiser backpack giveaway, Sela Blue fundraiser. It's basically there on the homepage. And anybody who's interested, just click on the Donate Today button, and you can see how the donations work. But know that every penny is being used, to buy and to fill the backpacks for the children. At this point in time, I believe that there's a need for over 430 backpacks that have already been requested.
Right.
So we're looking to get the donations going so that the children can have what they need, for this academic school year.
Right.
And like I said, in every book, my publishing house has already donated the books so that every child will get a copy of the Sela Blue book.
Right.
Now, Sela Blue has her own website. It's called SelaBlue.com, and it's a sweet, wonderful website. So the book can be purchased also from the website. Huckleberry Sweet Pie Publishing and Littleberry Press Publishing out of Indiana. Now, publish the Sela Blue series. So right now we have Sela Blue in the First Day of School, which is already available, and has been available since 2016, available through Amazon, through the website, et cetera, and so forth. And the latest book, the book that will be coming out in 2021 called Sela Blue and the Magic Ticket is available for pre-order through the Huckleberry Sweet Pie .com website, which is the publishing house.
Huckleberry Sweet Pie?
Yes, .com, girl.
Sweetpie.com. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It was such a pleasure. You just, wow. I really enjoyed talking to you. I am someone who loves chatting with people who have an expanded knowledge of the world beyond the four walls that they live in or beyond the city or the town that they live in, I love people who can dream and expand their horizons and open up the doors. For someone who's listening to you now that lives in the city of Philadelphia, that has never left the 4 blocks that they lived in, can now actually dream about something outside
they can know
of
it's possible.
Yes.
Absolutely. They can know it's completely possible. Yes. But before I go, Andrea, can you make sure that you send me the information for the barbershop? Because I would love to donate some books.
All right. So I am going to email you the address. Okay. I will email you the address to the barbershop. And Woody, if you're listening to this radio station right now, because Woody called in earlier. Woody, call me back at the radio station. And is there can you leave a place where excuse me, with Kayla, how we can reach you to get the books? Excuse me.
Absolutely.
All right.
Try and get the books to Woody and all of those wonderful kids.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for having me. And listen, what can I say? It's been wonderful to be on with you, and I love I love your vibe and the inspiration that you're giving your listeners. So keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Okay.
You too.
All right,
Take care.
Bye-bye.